Wassail Beautiful People. So, I've moved to Portugal to be back near the sea, although I arrived and there's been a storm for a few days, and so I've not actually been able to go in. I've only been able to paddle, which is quite frustrating. I'm doing this video about shadow work, shadow walking, because those of you that have been following me know that on my birthday on the 1st of October, I took a trip to the alignments of Karnak, and I was knocked so far out of alignment with Pluto and Neptune that I've been on the very longest, deepest and most difficult shadow walk I've ever done. And look, I love shadow work, but I thought it was maybe time for me to do a personal video to explain what shadow work is really about, because lots of tarot readers, we talk about doing shadow work and it's all seen as something that's just a little epiphany, and it really isn't just a little epiphany. It's something very deep and very dark and very soul searching, and it's something that even when you feel you've completed it, something in the cosmos will just bring up something else. Like at the moment, the moon, since yesterday, today and tomorrow I think it is moving through Capricorn, and so it means it's passing in front of those three big boys, Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto, and so it's causing emotional disturbances to just come up a little bit more. So let's have my bells. So, yes, there's a timidity about those because I know that I'm going to feel really squirmy during this, because I'm going to draw cards that are like a personal reading that will help us to understand what I've been through, and so what you can expect maybe when you do your shadow work. And look, it's to understand that shadow work is very complicated. It doesn't just instantly happen. It's something that brings up so very much from so many very deep places. And my shadow work was, an email was sent to me bringing up an issue relating to my birthday 30 years ago that I thought I'd done the shadow work on, and I obviously hadn't, because I had to see these incidents that have scarred my entire life from a new perspective. And I had to use a lot of deep astrological work with my natal chart to look at certain things. And I also, my lovely friend Misha, hello Misha, helped me to understand some of the aspects that are not necessarily in my control. And I have a thing which is how much of free will is really free will, and how much of the music of the spheres does dictate certain things that take place around you. And then if you keep repeating the thought patterns, or if I keep repeating those thought patterns, then I get stuck in those energies, even though I'm not aware that I'm doing it. So let's just go into this and see what comes up. Oh, sorry, I was going to say that she also looked at my Vedic chart, and this really did help to solidify some elements of an energy in which, unaware myself, that something about me creates an energy that makes people quite angry or quite jealous or quite infuriated, and they just kind of want to poke at me. Now, I would ordinarily have said, I deserved that, I did that, I made that. And that isn't the truth, in fact. It's a balance of the two things. So there is an energy in the spheres from my natal chart that suggests that there's something about my inner light that can just very slightly irritate people, and then they poke at me, and I take that personally. So let's just see what gives. So I've got the Mystical Shaman deck to see what the cards would like to discuss and what will come out of it. So these are a guide. Mystical Shaman, Spirit Guides, Elohim. Right, so it's a journey. But look at the position on this card. This kind of fearfulness to embrace the full journey, even though Spirit is there. And Spirit drops things into my mind, things unfold, I begin to understand certain things, but that doesn't mean I want to step forwards with them. So for the moment I've got one which is I'm going to stop doing personal readings for a bit, because the list just keeps growing and I cannot catch up with it, especially as I've not been able to read throughout the whole of October, which has been adding to a level of stress within me. And so I need to stop all of those things. I will honour all of the people that have applied. And if you have applied for a reading and you're a bit tired of waiting for it, let me know and I'll return money to you. But it's more about this need to stop fearing that if I don't have the personal readings, that the donations won't come in enough to allow me to keep doing this journey, because that's a natural fear that I have to let go of. That's part of my shadow work. To do this journey, I have to trust the connection with Spirit and embrace all that comes towards me fearlessly. And fear is a real problem for us. We've got to move into this frequency of trust and love. And most of the time I'm in that frequency, but there are moments in all people where we stumble, and October was me lying on the floor, not even able to stand up. So let's see what else the Mystical Shaman has. Okay, so divine detours. Oh, how frustrating. There's such a cute little coyote, and yet when this card comes up, you're just like, oh, again. But a shadow work is exactly that. Shadow walking is a divine detour. You turn off the main path and you go into a journey to face your shadows, to look at the things that really stress you out. And then it has these two cards of abundance and the tree of life, the Yggdrasil. It's saying this is where you are heading. This is the energy. Now look, we all do readings. We all find these cards come out and we say to people, look, this abundance is coming towards you. This ability to harvest, to grow, to develop is coming towards you. But it doesn't come for free. You have to walk with the Yggdrasil tree. You have to go as a shaman inside the darkest recesses of your own soul and look at them and face them. And do you know what? They're bloody exhausting. They're really, you know, this is the first time when doing a shadow walk that was from 30 years ago, that was literally thrown into my face to deal with, that I've just felt so disconnected from Spirit. I was connected to Spirit, but Spirit wouldn't let me do anything outside of myself. And look, I love everybody with the comments that they write, but I haven't even been able to reply to people because Spirit was saying to me that to complete this shadow walk, I had to be alone with no outside influences. And that's really important. I mean, look, I'm giving advice to people through the cards on how to do things, but you have to do it. I had to do it. And outside influences don't help you. They distort you because there's somebody else's pathway. We have to focus on our own pathway. So this journey, I'm going to take this wonderful double deck of the Vice Versa and the Universal Celtic Tarot and just see what it has to say about what that journey has been. I mean, look, I just want to say about these, look, this is a vision. This is Sadir magic. This is knowing that Spirit is offering you abundance, to be sated, to be in your harvest in life, and Spirit's walking with you. The Yggdrasil tree, the ether that is inside everything, is there with me, but it's got this divine detour between it. So you've got the journey, but between reaching this, there's these divine detours. Now, that's a test, because we can see the abundance. I can throw cards for myself every day and I will see abundance, and yet I don't see abundance because I have to trust in the abundance. So like with me, stopping the personal readings means I'm cutting off a form of abundance that comes towards me, but I have to trust that people watching these videos will donate more money to help me continue my journey. And I just have to trust that. I have to go with what Spirit is telling me is the right thing to do. Because every day throughout October, I woke up and every day I sat down to do readings, and every day there was nothing. The cards just would not speak, and I've never experienced that. And it was frightening. It was disturbing. I've left the UK. The only form of income I have is the money that comes to me through this channel. And I'm traveling. I'm now in Portugal, but my money could run out at any moment. But I have to trust Spirit that I'm walking towards the abundance. So let's see what this has. So, can you tell us, please, about my spirit walk, my shadow walk, my journey inside myself? What's it all about? Right, so we have a series of cards. Let's put them in the order that they came. So it begins with this Five of Wands, inner turmoil, because that's shadow walking. Shadow walking is inner turmoil, looking inside yourself to see the aspects of yourself that you don't like. So mine has been based on this incident from 30 years ago where something happened to me that was completely out of my control. And I felt that it scarred my entire life, and so therefore I blamed myself continually in all kinds of moments. You know, I would always say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, because I felt that I had brought that upon myself, when actually it was almost a part of my tapestry of life to have that experience, and then 30 years later to go and look at that very uncomfortable, difficult experience and change the way I perceived it, seeing that darkness as actually my strength. Because look, I could very easily have just slipped into the mindset of being a victim. And throughout my life, I've had many opportunities to do amazing things, and then somehow they fall apart, or I cut my own nose off to spite my face because I hold to principles and I don't like to deviate from them. And so I could have remained in a sense of being a victim, that nothing would ever get better for me, that I deserve to feel this. Maybe in a past life something awful had happened and therefore I came here to be punished. No one came into this life to be punished. They're all part of an uncomfortable tapestry to see if we can learn to rise above feeling like we're the victim. And look, every time something awful happens to me, I would go into a depression, but I would rise out of that depression and then move on to the next thing and try and do the next thing. And everything that I kept trying would fall apart or fail at some point, or I would self-destruct it. And that's part of why I needed to go into the shadow work, so that I could understand that I am able to manifest things, but I only do that when my old thoughts are transformed into new thoughts that provide a better frequency. So the darkness, the shadows, the inner things that I've been through, I wear them with a sense of pride, because without experiencing them, my life would be just so very small and very, very boring. So this inner turmoil, how do I take this fire and bring light to it, to turn around the frequency of this volcanic, and it was, honestly, it was so like a volcano that I couldn't even understand why, when it arrived, when the whole process of the Neptune and Pluto shadow walk began, why it was happening, why at this moment, when they'd given me this opportunity to go on this wonderful journey, to walk around places, to take you all to these places and explore them, and why, when I was feeling so good and fabulous and my birthday was coming up, would a volcano go off, a tower moment that I didn't see coming, because I needed to experience it. So I'm going to ask the Afro-Brazilian deck, what did I have to do to turn that around? So, Seven of Wands. Now in this Seven of Wands, I know they're slightly different people, but the frequency I always feel from this card is facing your shadows, looking behind the curtains that you put over things to hide away. Oh, you can't see anything now. Stopping all of that, pulling the curtain away and looking at your true, what do I want to say? At your true sort of like hidden history, the parts of you that you don't like to admit to yourself, never mind anyone else, and they're things that you fear returning. I mean, my trauma followed me endlessly for a very long time, and it took me years just to, what I did was sweep it under a carpet and just hide it and just go, yeah, I've got over that, because I'd put enough time and space into it. But what I hadn't done was actually looked at it in its true light and understood why it happened until now. So facing yourself, battling on, because this is a card of getting up and battling on. And in October, honestly, I felt like I could barely stand up. And every day I woke up thinking, today we're over this. Today the shadow work will be done. I'll do some more readings. I'll do some blogging. And there was no energy for it. There was nothing there. And the spirit was saying to me, you have to finish the healing. You have to finish it. 10 of batons. You have to, you see, this is a card of unburden, and I want to say to you, I had to learn to unburden. But this isn't about unburdening. She still has the 10 wands, the 10 traumas, but she's turned them into something useful. She's turned them into a place from which she can give thanks, give gratitude to those experiences. They're not unburdened and got rid of. They're reformed, they're changed, they're transmuted, And that's what Pluto's about. Pluto's about dying and rebirthing. So those old traumas are now not a problem for me. I mean, I haven't got my energy back yet, but I'm blaming that on this moon in Capricorn. And also the fact that we've had the most terrific 2 days of storm here in Portugal. So I can't get in the sea yet, but it's coming. So the next two cards kind of come as where we went with it. It's your emotions being held up, being the night of emotions. It's a dark night. It's not a fairy tale. It's not some kind of, I don't know, sparkling epiphany that comes upon us that just leads us to some kind of promised land. Well, that leads us to this promised land. This that I am promised. It's not taking you there, but what it is doing is it's allowing you to reset your emotional language. So now those traumas I have, because I've really looked at them, really faced them, really changed them, it's allowed the frequency in my body to change. So parts of my consciousness that gets distorted to wrap itself around every molecule in our bodies have been able to clear, have been able to reset, and that allows us then to pass through a gateway portal into a new frequency, into a new reality. You know, there are dimensional shifts that we do all the time. I might go to bed one evening and wake up and I'm in a different dimension because I've transformed my frequency and I've allowed that energy to come across. And so here we have the world, but not just the world that you know, but the world with its infinite possibilities and dimensions. I've allowed that energy to now come down. It's like giving an offering, I don't want to say gratitude as such. There needs to be another way of thinking about it. It's more than just gratitude. It's acknowledgement of trauma and to be thankful to have witnessed it for what it really was. So it's not saying thank you for the home above my head, thank you for, you know, the money that I have, or thank you for my friends, and thank you for my family, and thank you for my health. It's about saying thank you, world, for showing me the new doorway that opens when I can face those darker parts, the things we don't want to be grateful for. I have to say thank you to the universe, or I did have to, for trauma, because without trauma there's no growth. So passing through. Then we have the Nine of Cups. So by turning this energy around to this, for clearing up the inner turmoil and passing through the gateway, you've cleaned up your frequency. I've cleaned up my frequency, and we move into Nine of Cups territory. Birthing a new light, a new frequency, a new desire to move forwards in life. And it would seem that for me, it's bringing me Knight of Cups. So, and this Knight of Cups is in its positive format. The darker side has got a crab, which is just hinting at that notion of a sideways shift. But it's the 10th cup is being carried, and so it's me wanting my higher frequency connection, my mirror soul, my soulmate, to come riding in, because I'm now in a frequency where I understand all of this from the past, this divine detour, And this frequency can't come in all the while my emotions are incomplete, because it would mean that I would be trying to find a relationship with someone for them to complete me. That's not going to happen. You need the person that you fall in love with for a partnership to complement you, to be on a higher frequency. I'm on a higher frequency. It's not perfect yet. You know, he's not going to knock on that door any second now, because there's still a journey. We're still in this frequency of a divine detour. So that part of it was moved on. Now, Four of Pentacles. Pentacles are the real world. So we were earlier, I was earlier, trying to pretend it's not about me. I hate these readings. So, this is about still not seeing the world around me in its fullness. Because yes, look, I'm in a higher frequency. I've done my work. You know, while I was in France, I woke Mother of Many. I went to another dolmen. I went to Karnak. I was never more out of alignment in my life. Then I tried for days to get that Pluto and Neptune reading out. Spirit wouldn't let me. Eventually it let me do it, and it was to help other people to understand that frequency. And then nothing again. And then just as I was leaving, Megan, who is a subscriber on here, she invited me to go and visit Merlin's dolmen, and that was a beautiful experience, and that was all part of my shadow walking. It was about being grateful or thankful for that silence, that inner journey, and actually, even as the day approached, I just kept thinking, I don't know that I'm in a remote frequency to be able to communicate, because once I'd been to Karnak, I was stuck inside the house I was staying in. There was a beautiful Moroccan courtyard. I couldn't even go out in it because it rained every day. And it was about me facing me for those 21 days. And it felt like a prison sentence. So back into the outside world, having been to see Merlin, creating that little stag that took me hours of collecting all the twigs and things and binding them all together, and then going to see him doing a reading which was about shedding the ego, turning the frequency of magic into something about love and not something about power. So thinking about what we manifest, and do we manifest things selfishly, or do we manifest as in the new frequency of magic, in sharing, in love, in doing something wonderful. You know, I for a long time, you know, if you've been following my channel, you'll know that when I first got this deck of cards, the Lightseer's Tarot, I got it because of the King of Wands, and every time the King of Wands frequency used to turn up, orbs would dance around me, and then they vanished because I said I met my King of Wands and it wasn't going to happen because I felt he wasn't in the same frequency as me. And so I walked away on this journey. Now, I still pine, but now I understand that if I want to manifest him, then I have to be prepared to manifest a sharing of something to help that person out, because I just wanted perfection. Whereas actually we're all on a journey, we all have gifts to offer, and maybe my gift is to offer healing, because that's what I'm good at. I can heal, I can heal people. You know, it's taken me 50 years to heal myself, so don't believe everything I say. So I'm in the real world, I can smell the real world, but I'm still not seeing it properly because I hadn't had that additional epiphany. So this shadow walk's not just one thing, it's a whole series of things. And even when you think you've achieved it, something will come and just smack you around the face again because the moon moved into a certain part of your chart and did something, or there was a conjunction, or something happens that just pokes you a little bit more to test you. I mean, you know, I'm always excited about new planetary alignments. I believe the music of the spheres is moving into a new frequency that's going to be wonderful. But it still keeps doing mean things. This blue moon that I'm excited about, I think's got a few traumas hidden inside it still. And I'm not trying to manifest traumas. I'm just being aware of the energies so that if they turn up, I can remain in my frequency of prepared forgiveness and love. So I'm not yet seeing the full picture. So then what do we have? The Eight of Pentacles. This is a little cluricorn. Now cluricorns are an Irish leprechaun, but they're different. The cluricorn is a shoemaker and he makes the shoes for the fairies. And rather weirdly, and that they are flying around waiting for their lovely shoe, but he only ever makes one shoe. He never makes a pair. He only makes one shoe, and I really have no idea why. But anyway, the Eight of Pentacles is talking about I'm being drawn in this card to the fact that there are, must be eight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 mushrooms with triskelion symbols on them, which is on the back of the card, which was the symbol of Karnak and the symbol of Brittany while I was there. There's an owl and there's a fox and there's a stoat and this little guy is sitting there. But the mushrooms are talking about, mushrooms are something that happen in a divine moment. So everything has to be perfectly aligned for a fungus or a mushroom to have its moment, to spore and send its magic out, so that that magic can settle, and then later at another divine moment that can spore. So doing this shadow work, it's talking about how, oh look, there's a little tiny deer in the background. It's like Mother of Many still hiding out behind there. I'm not sure you can see that. Just here. Anyway, so it's, this card to me is talking about, in the real world, the internal magic that we work on, this abundance that is promised, happens at a divine moment in the real world, when all the alignments, all the atmospheric things are right, and then it shines down and up comes the mushroom. And then we have the Three of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. So this is about a brand new beginning. And it is a beginning that's usually to do with abundance because it's real world. But this is talking about, it's talking to me about the kind of work that I've been doing around the stones. I've had a very deep connection with Stonehenge since I went to the winter solstice. And when I sang to the stones the F sharp, of the higher heart, they resonated, the ground vibrated underneath me. It was really very wonderful. And 3 days later, Christmas Day, I went down to the seafront to go on the Christmas swim with my friend Helen, who went on, hello Helen, who went on the, who took me to Stonehenge. And her daughter took a photograph of us. If I can remember, I'll put a link in. But we were covered in henge energy 3 days later when we met up again. And in this Polaroid picture, you could see white flames of Stonehenge coming off. And it's, I don't know what to make of this one. This is kind of talking about, this is talking about a future. It's like a past future. I don't know how to explain it. This is something that's linked into something that's in my past in terms of where I am here. I've already done this, but it's in the future because time's very super. I know what they're talking about now. Okay, so we're going to skip slightly now from we're going to talk about the number 13. I get why they're talking about it. It's to do with living outside of time. So, oh, this one came over me about 3 days before I left Van. So I woke up and I knew, oh, look, there we go. I knew I was no longer in the 12 frequency. I was in the 13 frequency. 13 is the divine feminine birthing manifestation number. Now, in order to keep us caught in the 3D reality, which is the frequency of 12, okay, in order to remain in that frequency, we've divided clocks into 12 hours, months, 12 months in the year. We've used that kind of frequency to create a kind of a trap. Now, we've all been going through this 2020 lockdown that started in March, the first one. And this was a chance for everyone to step outside of time. Because for most people, I'm not saying all, but for a lot of people, they were asked to remain at home and they were still being given a salary. And this allowed people to experience themselves without all of the need for meetings, going to work, timetables. Because once upon a time we didn't have time. We had the fluidity of the natural motions of the planets, the stars, the moon, the seasons, and they're fluid, they're not rigid. And we've created this clock, this time, these dates, these moments that just feel like they're rigid. Look, if time was perfect, why every 4 years do we have to add another day to the year? Because nothing is as exact. And so moving to the frequency of 13 is about trying to live in a moment where you're free to just be in the now. And it's a really difficult energy. And that's the part of what my shadow work was culminating in. It was asking me to free myself from anything that confine me. So that's even to a certain extent when someone's booking a personal reading, I'm obliged, because I've accepted a payment for that, to do a reading for someone. And that's again an energy that was beginning to, with them stopping me, build and build and build as like a kind of a weight upon me. And that's another of the reasons why, for the moment, I have to complete this list and then I'll see whether I reopen it. Because it's really important to just be able to, for me at least at the moment, I need to be able to walk that walk, which is to wake up and just flow. I've been trying to flow for a few years now, and I keep saying I'm flowing, but I then realize I'm sliding into patterns where I'm leading myself into a sense of expectations that others put upon me. I mustn't live in that way. I need to shine my frequency exactly as I am, because that's 13. That's living outside and it's access to the 5D. So can you talk to us please about the 13 frequency now that I've kind of half explained it? Oh, it's your Luminous Warrior. Look, when you love yourself enough, you're willing to take the risk of just totally trusting in yourself and what you're doing. So we have the Luminous Warrior. Self-love. I can't say enough about self-love. And you know, shadow walking is when you challenge yourself to ask yourself, just how much self-love do you really have? Because it's difficult, it's really hard. The whole point of me doing this message is I really want people to understand how difficult shadow work is in truth, in its purity, to get to this state of self-love. Look, I've been doing readings with you and saying it's all coming. It is all coming, but to achieve it, you really do have to search your soul. We're going now almost into sort of another form of lockdown, mini lockdowns and all kinds of things, because so many of us didn't do the shadow work. Look, I was doing shadow work the whole of lockdown, but it still wasn't finished or completed. I'm still on the next section of it now. So what else about the 13 frequency, please, would you like to tell us? What else would you like to tell us about the 13 frequency? Oh, they've gone down on the floor. It's the reverse of 13. 31, the lower world. I can't get hold of that card. And that's why. It's the blade. It's it's that ability to cut through the dimensions. So, the lower world, the reverse, the mirror, looking into your dark mirror. Look, the lower world is not. It's not today representing some kind of attachments and demons, because they're all gone. They don't exist anymore. The only form of those demons that exist is a version that we play out as bad thought patterns. They've all been locked away. They're gone. They're not part of the future frequency. So, you know, when you feel that there's some kind of, you know, evil presence attached to you, it's not. It's your thought process recreating that energy. They were there once. They were there. They used to exist, but they've been removed. That's part of it. This is about a dark, deep dive. This is, look, this is the lake. This is the Pluto lake, and it's toxic. But you've got to go in there. You've got to go in for a swim. You've got to redefine yourself through that journey into that. You've got to ponder in Pluto's pond. And it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. You know, as I said, I literally felt 98. I was waking up every day and thinking, I can't do anything. And that's not me. I have boundless energy, but I had to have that energy taken away from me so that I would sit still and actually heal, because all I want to do is get out there and heal other people. I want to reach out to everybody and say, we can all do this, we can all get through this. And yet there was something slightly hypocritical, because I wasn't going into my own darkest spaces and bringing them back up to wear them. You know, I've got a lovely cloak that's all my traumas, and I'm wearing it and I'm happy with it. So, cutting through the dimensions, changing frequencies. This is also, it's a little bit like a giant snake's eye. And that's Kundalini, that's an awakening, that's the energy of joining your molecules to your consciousness in a new way. Having been down here and changing the frequency into this, so that you resonate, so that you're more like Baldur, you've got this resonance going on. And then we have the staff, which is talking about DNA transformation. Look, I know people talk about DNA blueprints and our DNA is being rewritten, and people look at you and go, that's a pile of shit. When a woman becomes pregnant, her entire physiognomy changes, and that's why 13 is a divine feminine birthing number. And where does it link to? This is the sacral. The sacral is the womb. The womb in a woman is capable of the creation of new life. Men can't do that. Women can do that. And that's an amazing thing, because everything changes about them. Not just the way in which the baby is able to grow within them, the mother's body changes, and it's very uncomfortable. You know, it's a really, well, I don't know, but from friends I know who speak about it, it's a very beautiful but difficult energy to get through. And then you birth, and when you birth a mother, you birth a new energy. You don't just birth a child. So this is, it's almost like birth. I know we've called it biology, but birthing is the only magic that has survived throughout the last few thousand years. And it's women's magic, it's Sadir magic, it's beautiful magic. Anyway, so that's those. Let's go to Odin and see what Odin might like to say about my shadow journey. So, Mr. Odin, throwing cards very far away, and I didn't feel like I was ready for that, but Bjarken, not Björk, Bjarken. So this is birth. This is the birch tree. This is the beginning of this tree of life, changing, transforming the frequency of the Yggdrasil. So part of my shadow walking has been to come upon a new birth. I'm not fully birthed, but I'm coming out of the elementary canal. And this is the card, Os. This is the vessel. So this is talking about how the molecules, my vessel, the thing that my consciousness rests in, this that you see, is being transformed. Okay, so let's go back to the Odin. I'm going to rifle them. So what else would you like to tell us about this shadow? 2 cards, Gipt and Vend. So I need to find that card that's now hidden. Where's it gone? There it is, it's hiding. Gipt has multiple meanings, but it's about coming into a union. It's about your molecules and your consciousness, but it's also about a union between yourself and another. So there is an energy frequency that is saying that now that I've raised my frequency and reached a higher frequency, and I'm in my 13, my living outside of the restrictions of ordinary time, I'm able to draw down a new, not just a small portal, a Stonehenge-sized abundance portal. I love that. Sadir magic is, you know, you see a prophecy, you let it come in. But you have to let it come in. You have to trust it comes in. I can't keep pushing for it to come in. It has to just come in. So, and Vend is about moving on a journey forwards into abundance. So look, I'm being given lovely cards and I should be overwhelmed with joy. But even though I'm in 13, this will flash in and out of existence because that's the way our mind works. We will stumble. It's not like I've reached 13 and that's it. You know, hong ding bong, like some kind of magic pathways happening. I've got to maintain that. But it's saying you've got this wondrous energy that's coming down and it's the size of Stonehenge, but you've got to maintain that level of energy. I've got to maintain my higher frequency vibration so that I can make a higher frequency connection. So let's ask, I don't want to do this bit. Oh, actually we'll take it with these cards. Let's ask about this higher frequency connection that's coming with my abundance. Where are we going? What's the journey towards this abundance then? Can't look at the camera. What's this journey towards this higher frequency connection? This journey towards abundance. What can you tell me about it, please? Oh, it's constantly loving sending cards down below. So, Gipt, that idea of finding your molecules and your consciousness combined. Here we have the Strength card, and this is that transformative energy when you, I keep saying you and it's me, I know, but you can do this journey as well. That's why I'm talking to you about it. This is becoming imbued with strength. But what is that strength? And I don't know why I've never ever noticed this before in this card. Two things. Your strength is your vulnerability. To be vulnerable is a strength. And that's what the lamb represents. Because the lamb's sitting down there with a lion. But the real thing that your strength is love. Self-love enables you to radiate a wonderful strength, a vulnerable strength at times, but to be vulnerable is to admit when you make mistakes, and that makes you stronger. What doesn't make you stronger is hiding from them, because that's feeding your lower world frequency. So the next part of this journey, oh, it's so sweet, look, is sleeping in a frequency of love for yourself, for your Luminous Warrior, which has now vanished. Got too many cards on the table. A love for yourself, the sacral, and allowing a connection to just take place around you as you nest down. Not to go running around, but to sit still and allow that frequency to descend towards you. So this really is like Merlin, but it's this 13 frequency. I want you to understand that it's stepping outside of the normal realms. So what else would you like? What else would you like to tell us, please, about my movement forwards? Oh, can't even see where that one's gone. Can you hear all the sand all over the floor scraping on the back of the cards? Every time you go outside, there's just so much sand everywhere. And when the storm came, all the sand came off the beach and just completely smothered the house. Allow the cosmos, you allow the cosmos to create. Look, it's this energy of union within yourself and self-love and union with another being formed, but you have to allow it to take place because it's being created as a 13 frequency in the world of 12. So it takes time for spirit to organize these things. So what else would you like to tell me and everybody else? Okay, so this is a fascinating card. This is going back to this. It's an echo, it's a reminder. They're reminding me, look, it's even in the same color frequencies. It's a reminder of trust. You know, I'm always fascinated by the fact that behind this, there's a figure and blood. This is, it's like this is your shadow, my shadow. And it's saying, look, you've brought your shadow into the light and blood has been spilt to get there. I haven't spilt blood, obviously. But Spirit is still talking and saying, we're forming this. It's 5 and 5, you know, that's a 10, that's a completion and a new beginning. But there's something about it where you just keep going, why is it not here now? Because it's a 13 frequency being created in a 12 frequency. It takes time. And it takes time for the cosmos to bring the energy down and feed you and to create it, to feed me. I'm so sorry I keep trying to disown the fact that this is my journey that I'm telling you about. So, is there anything else you'd like to tell me about where I'm heading towards my abundance and how I get there? What other energies? You see, those two were a warning to maintain as much as possible the 13 frequency and to not stumble, to not fall over again. Because every time you fall over, then you start getting upset and distressed and you distort the frequency again. So, if I can keep my 13 frequency, if I can keep in that self-love and shining out, what do you want to tell me about where we're going? Doesn't want to tell me anything now. Doesn't want to share with you my future. They've gone really quiet. Come on, show us the future. Show us the future. There's one, but I want two more, really. Will you show us where we're going? Oh my God! So, look. That's why it took so long. I had to find them. It's a new beginning because I've reached that point. I've done this dark, long, traumatic shadow work, falling into a newly formed geometric akashic record, having changed things. What's coming towards me? My soulmate. But this is, I know that this is an energy from other readings, and so they're just pushing it on mine again. This is my mirror soul, my higher frequency connection, who I've never had, I haven't seen for so millions of years. It's so far back that it's lost in the mist of time. So the soulmate, and then what was the last card that came out? Hey, there he is. Hello. Oh. But the thing is, I have to stop wishing for it. Look, the cards are saying it's coming. It's done. It's a done deal. That's the part of the 13 frequency. I have to let go of that. I can't wish it to come in any quicker because spirit has to take time to form the 13 frequency in a world of 12. Doesn't stop me wanting. Oh my goodness. I'm embarrassed that they've shown. Look, he's for me. That bit's not for you. Well, it is. You get your own version of that. Now, do we need any more cards? So let's have a Chemin de Laval and a Moonology just to end, just for the sake of me covering. Hurry up. I know, I can't say that. He'll come when he's meant to come. There's a divine unfolding to everything. So, oh, look at the bottom of the deck. It's all about love. So, Le Chemin de Laval, the Awakening Paths, please, what would you like to tell people about me? Oh, there's a Moonology card stuck in there. Work through your fears. That's shadow walking. Look, that's fabulous. New moon in Scorpio. That's coming very, very soon. Maybe it's telling me that la 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 is by the new moon in Scorpio. I mean, look, the spiritual wheel of the year did say tantric jigginess coming up in November. So, well, we can only wait and see. How funny that that was snuck in there. I thought there was another card that went reverse. Oh, look, the Awakening. The Laval of the Chemin de Laval. The Awakening. The cosmic alignment. The divine moment. The fungus coming into being. Scorpio is death and rebirth. That's what shadow walking is about. Pluto is Scorpionian energy. Scorpionic. Scorpionian. I've lost it now. It's because he turned up. And what was the other one that fell out? Oh, look, don't slip, don't trip, don't fall over. Keep your focus. The slipper, not just the thing you put on your foot, but the slipper as in the noun of you slipping over, of falling from, me rather, from the 13 frequency to the 12. I have to maintain. So I'm just going to ask the Moonology to end this reading. It would be very nice if, like for Val the other day when she was doing the Libra reading. Hello Val, Eternal Transformations. Look, if you haven't watched Val, go and watch Val for Eternal Transformations, because she always makes me feel so complete, and she inspires my energy with her enthusiasm and her love and her messages. They're wonderful. So yeah, she was doing the Libra reading and the blue moon came out, and I just thought that was so beautiful, just like when he just came out. That was very beautiful. So Spirit, what final message would you like to give people about shadow work? I'm getting very hot now. I'm going to have to try and go and sit in the sea if it's not too rough. There we go. Oh, fixed moon. Hold your vision. Don't slip over. Hold the vision. Hold it, but don't encourage it to come out of its right moment. Me telling me, not telling you, but I am telling you as well. So hold the vision. I have to hold the vision without trying to force it to manifest out of its actual time. So shadow work, it's very difficult and it's very long and it's very exhausting, but right now 2020 is the year of shadow work, and we've got a little bit of time left, because on the 14th of December it's the lunar eclipse of the Luminous Warrior, and then on the 17th and the 19th Saturn and Jupiter will move into Aquarius. Now, the last time Saturn and Jupiter were in Aquarius, we had the French Revolution, and also it's the last time they moved there so quickly within 2 days of each other, right around this winter solstice. The last time they moved so quickly was 1589 years ago, and that was during the fall of the Roman Empire, when everything in the world changed. Everything is going to change, but we have to hold our vision. We have to find a space to catch up with accepting and self-loving. So, oh, it's a card on my elbow. I'm just going to leave you with these two. Because they're both wonderful creatures. Right, that's my message. Let's see how quick an upload is in Portugal. Okay, so Wassail Beautiful People.